everyone, I'm coming to you from Cold Harbor. Now this, here in Virginia. Now this battle is part of General Ulysses S. Grant's 1864 Overland Campaign and is one of the bloodiest battles of that campaign. Now that's kind of crazy to say considering up to this point there have already, just on the Union side, 50,000 casualties during this campaign before we even get to Cold Harbor. But Cold Harbor will be fought May 31st through June 12th of 1864. And it becomes a very important battle. There's a little bit of ego on both sides, things like that, but we'll get into that in a second. What ends up happening is on May 31st, General Philip Sheridan is going to encounter Confederate cavalry near a crossroads, not far from here. He is going to beat that cavalry back. However, the cavalry will get some backup in the form of infantry, Confederate infantry. Sheridan is still able to beat them back and seize the crossroads. The next day, June 1st, General Grant, hearing that Lee is trying to extend his lines, wants to attack him as soon as possible. He doesn't want Lee to be able to get entrenched and have to try to maneuver around him. So he's going to call for an attack. Unfortunately, his attack is going to be delayed. It will not start until about 5 p.m. when a brigade from Wright's Corps will attack the Confederate line. Now that brigade will break the Confederate line. However, as more Confederate troops are coming up, they're able to counterattack and push that brigade out of the area and settle the line back the way it was. June 2nd, General George Meade wants to attack the Confederates in the early morning. He's setting up an attack, but he's advised against it because there's not enough time for planning. So General Grant will eventually tell him just to wait till June 3rd. That advantage of waiting is going to help Robert E. Lee. As you can see here, these are the trenches that Lee is going to build. His men are going to build during that June 2nd lull. And what happens is that as Lee's troops build these intricate trenches, Grant's men are still filing in. The next day, June 3rd, Grant is going to send the 2nd, 6th, and 18th Corps across the fields here, attacking these trenches. In 30 minutes, more than 7,000 men will fall out here in this open no man's land. In 30 minutes, 7,000 men, which is an astronomical number. It is going to be extremely bloody here, and the Confederates in this great defensive line really aren't going to suffer as much. The fighting will continue over the next couple days, but it'll be mostly skirmishing and artillery fire back and forth. The heavy battle was on the June 3rd. However, it will be until June 7th before the Union Army and the Confederate Army agree to a flag of truce to allow the Union to come out and collect their wounded. By this time, many of these men have been laying in the sun. They are dead. They're not, those that may have been saved are expired due to laying in the heat with no water. You don't want to venture across that property there, as it's called no man's land. It's just a devastating thing, and some of that goes back to the egos, I would have to say, of Robert E. Lee and Ulysses S. Grant. Grant not wanting to admit a defeat, which this is a major Confederate victory, and Lee not wanting to give Grant any satisfaction of being able to just come out and get his dead without calling it a defeat. So a little bit of ego there, a little bit of mind games, but what ends up happening is the real ones that suffer are the wounded out here behind us. If you get a chance to come down to Cold Harbor, definitely do. This is a really well-preserved battlefield. As you can see, there's a ton of trenches here. These guys are here for 2 weeks before they will move on. And of note, this battlefield is not far from an 1862 battle that took place less than a mile down the road called Gaines' Mill. A lot of people will go to Gaines' Mill because they're studying the 1862 campaign, or they'll come here because they're studying the 64 campaign. I encourage you to do both on the same day because you really get to see the difference in warfare. from 1862 to 1864. Here we're in trenches. There we're lining up, marching through woods, and in more Napoleonic style. So you can really see how the war changed within a mile over 2 years. Um, it's just an amazing place to come. It is run by the National Park Service. They have a nice little visitor center up here, tons of markers around. So if you get a chance to come out here to Cold Harbor, definitely do so. One of the more famous and bloody battles of the American Civil War and of General Ulysses S. Grant's Overland Campaign.